This evening, what we're planning on doing is to talk to as many candidates who are making themselves available. In this particular case, in Springfield, there are two ward races, Ward 4 and Ward 6. Unfortunately, both of the Ward 6 candidates cannot make it tonight. And yes, they have legitimate excuses, okay? They're just not dodging us. They can't make it tonight. In Ward 4, though, we have one of the candidates, Abdul Karim Kibodi, and unfortunately his opponent is not here tonight, incumbent City Councilor Mayoral Brown. But we're going to do a quick interview with him because he should not be penalized if his opponent can't make it. He should get the coverage as a candidate. So first of all, I know that you've been out talking to ward residents. You've been talking to potentially your constituents. What would you say is their top concern that they have told you? What is the top of mind awareness of folks who live in your district?
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to Focus Springfield STIC for having me here today. Before we can even get into the conversation about the issues or changes that we want to see fixed, constituents in my community, the first thing that they talk about is empty promises. They don't feel that our neighborhood is a priority in Springfield. They don't feel that we're getting the attention, the investment, or revitalization that we deserve. First and foremost, as I always say, it starts with showing up, being present. I've done that. I've been on the doors, I've connected with community members face to face, and I'll continue to do that once elected. First and foremost is showing up. Second, a lot of the issues that we talk about are around the grocery store, making sure that we're able to secure one in Mason Square. We exist in both a food desert and a resource desert. During my time with Congressman Neal, I was able to work with him to help save the Mason Square TD Bank. And I would also make sure I'm working with constituents and local organizations to help us get a grocery store in our neighborhood. From there, we can talk about transportation, we can talk about speeding, and pedestrian safety. You know, one of the other biggest factors is making sure that people feel safe in our neighborhood. I want to make sure that this is a neighborhood that attracts people, not pushes them away.
Let me just do a follow-up to something that you just said in your answer, and that has to do with the grocery store. There's been a lot of surveys and study done about food deserts in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The last one I saw said something like, we are 30% below the number of grocery stores that we should have. I live in Maple Heights 6 Corners. Physically, the closest grocery store is either the one in the center of Mason Square or the one in Forest Park. If I want to go to another grocery store, I literally have to either go across town or I have to go across the river to West Springfield. So my neighborhood is like your district in terms of a lot of people live there, we don't have access. If you were on the council, what kind of steps would you take to encourage getting another grocery store for your ward?
Yes, I believe that in order to attract new businesses, I think that's what it really comes down to, is attracting new business and making sure that we're ready as a neighborhood and as a city to encourage new people to join in. One of the things that I've considered or that has been brought to my attention in connection with the housing problems, creating mixed-use development properties, making sure that we are able to kind of bring the community together, having both a grocery store as well as apartment units, making sure that we are able to have local businesses as well be a participant in that. We really want to make sure that this is a neighborhood that's walkable and accessible. I think that by making Springfield more accessible as a whole, we then make our communities more accessible.
Let me do another follow-up on your initial answer, and that you expressed great concern about pedestrian safety. Is there a particular street or area in the ward that truly needs, I don't know what it would be, a speed bump, a crosswalk, another stoplight? Is there a particular place that residents are worried about?
Every single street in the neighborhood. That's what every street I've walked down, that's one of the first things that people mention to me. I live on a small side street, and people fly 80 miles per hour going down the street. People don't feel comfortable allowing their kids outside, especially on some of our wider streets, wider side streets such as Oak Grove. I was talking to residents of Highland House last week, and that was one of their main concerns, was access to they don't feel comfortable walking across the street by themselves. People will fly up and down the road. They'll use it as a racetrack. I think that we need a full and comprehensive approach to it. It can't just be one speed bump here, one speed bump there. But we also need to make sure that we are re-educating both drivers on making sure that they aren't getting out there driving crazy, making sure that pedestrians and neighbors are being able to hold each other more accountable in both reporting when they see people speeding and then having that police response in order to really penalize people who are endangering people in our neighborhood. Additionally, when we look on our main roads, we can look right to AIC College. Well, recently we had a member of their faculty pass away by getting hit by a driver going down the street, which it's unfortunate, it's sad. We can see it happening at the main library branch as well. Another employee that was killed in traffic. We need to make sure that we're lighting up our streetways with new and improved lighting systems, and we need to make sure that it doesn't have to just be speed bumps. There's a lot of intervention methods that can be used, and we really need to make sure that we are studying that and really actually implementing it. This can't be conversations about just talking. Other cities around the country, they're not experiencing this to the level that we are. And so we need to make sure that we're looking outside of our own ideas too, to really draw in new ideas.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a couple questions that I'm going to ask your colleagues when the at-large people come in, because if you're on the council, these are legitimate questions. The trash fee has once again emerged as an issue. And I don't know where you stand on the trash fee. I don't know if you support the idea of maintaining it, or if you want to modify it, or if you want to get rid of it. But I'm going to ask you, if you're a member of the council, this is going to be something the council may have to deal with. What do you think about the trash fee?
The residents have spoken up, and they want to eliminate the trash fee. I believe that the city has the funding and resources necessary to continue surviving and thriving without that tax burden on the constituents. So I'm in favor of eliminating it. I'll keep that one simple.
Okay, all right. Here's the other question I'm going to ask everybody a little bit later on. When you look at revenue streams that we did not anticipate, let's say 10 years ago, I think the revenue stream that comes from city fees to cannabis dispensaries was one that you and I would never have anticipated ever seeing. However, the city of Springfield is getting money from its 4 recreational adult use cannabis dispensaries. Yet when we look at other cities, even smaller cities such as Holyoke, such as East Hampton, they have many more cannabis dispensaries than we do, despite our much larger size. And I'm just wondering if you, as a potential city councilor, would entertain the idea, since the council has to decide things about zoning and special permits, if you would entertain the idea of having additional cannabis dispensaries in the city, or if you think we have enough.
Well, we need to see the metrics and numbers that the businesses are bringing in currently. I have heard recent reports from cities such as Holyoke and others in the state that they haven't brought in as much revenue as they would expect. In terms of actually bringing in more, my hope there, which I haven't seen to the extent that I want, is how is that, and this comes from the Cannabis Control Commission and the state legislature, making sure that we are improving the legislation to support business owners of color, to support business owners who have been incarcerated and have suffered as a result of the war on drugs. How do we make sure that they are getting the funding, finances, and resources necessary to start the business in the first place? I've seen a lot of out-of-state investors coming in and opening up businesses, but the process for some of our local businesses, I can think directly to Six Bricks, and the amount of hurdles that they had to jump through just to open their business in the first place, and then to have to continue afterwards. And I think we really need to revisit that and make sure that we are actually creating the equity that we are trying to create first and foremost.
Thank you very much, sir. And this concludes our brief interview with this candidate from Ward 4. I hope that if you're in Ward 4, you will consider seriously what the candidates are saying. And I want to thank you very much for viewing, and stay tuned for more discussions with other candidates later on this evening.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.